What's up, Recovered on Purpose family? I'm so happy you are here for Guest Saturdays. And today we have a good friend of mine, Gentry, coming on. And Gentry is just, her energy is awesome. I love what she's about. And Gentry, on May 1st of 2018, after struggling with alcohol abuse for over 10 years, Gentry finally surrendered to sobriety. Since that day, she has been dedicated to learning as much as she can about her addiction, mental health, and personal development so she can use her voice to help bring support and community to others suffering. Gentry built her social media platforms around her life as a sober single mom and sharing honestly about struggles, joys, and confidence that can come after addiction. Her goal is to use her influence to provide hope and humor to the mental health struggles of navigating sobriety and life as a sober single mom. Thanks for being here, guys, and enjoy the show. Represents the darkness from which we came. The white represents the light in which we now live. And the red represents the passion it takes to live recovered on purpose. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to have some fun today. Basically, the reason why Gentry and I are doing this, I've been following her on social media, on her Instagram. She got introduced to me by a good friend of mine, Carl. And she just is all about having fun in sobriety, all about making people laugh and, making those shorts and stuff just to make people laugh and have fun in sobriety. So Gentry, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we've got some people coming in to say, hey, Greg's coming in. Morning, brother. I'll be sharing this with my group. Love you, brother. Love you too, man. Love you too. Jennifer, great to see you, girl. Jennifer is on day 1 of sobriety right now. Yesterday, right before she found our live yesterday, she had just dumped all of her dope in a toilet and decided that she doesn't want to use anymore. Great job being here, Jennifer. Super proud of you. Let's go. Michelle. Hi, guys. Hi.
Hi.
Janet saying good morning. Good morning from Texas. What's up, Texas? We got Catherine coming in here. Her page is no longer silenced. Good to see you, Catherine, always. Good morning, Angie. Good morning, fam. Good morning, Pam and fam. Good morning from Minnesota. What's up, Eugene? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Yeah, Eugene is a pillar in the Colorado recovery community. One of my first speaker meetings in one of the fellowships there. I think it was Halloween maybe, and he was a speaker there, and he's got a really, really cool story.
Oh, nice.
Michelle coming in live from Biloxi, Gulfport, Mississippi. Let's go. Love you too, Catherine. Love you too. Yes, and congratulations to Jennifer. We love you. Okay, so let's hop into this. So, Gentry, tell us a little bit about your story. And in the intro, we were talking about how you made the decision. Like, you kind of just made this decision to surrender to sobriety. So, what was going on in your life at that point that kind of made you make that decision?
So that day, I was actually at work, and we had like a work lunch, and we were allowed to like drink on the work lunch. And they didn't know I had already been drinking before we had gone to this work lunch. I drank too much. I got paranoid and decided to drive home, just left work and didn't tell anyone. And when I got home that day, I remember just driving. I was in and out of blacked out, so I don't remember everything. I know that I stopped at the gas station. I don't remember stopping at the gas station. I just remember once I was in my garage seeing the Mike's Hard Lemonade that I had bought in the passenger seat. And I remember just sitting there staring at this black bag of death, which is what I call like the black bags you get from the grocery store or from a convenience store, because nothing you get from a gas station is going to be good, and it always comes in that like black bag. Right. But I was staring at it, and I was just like, what have I become? It was just like I wasn't even there. It's like I was just watching myself from above, like, this is not me. This is not who I wanted to be. It was like I was mourning the mom I wanted to be. And at that point, I had my inner circle knew that I had a problem. And I kind of had talked to him about it. I was still hiding it a lot. But work was calling at this time. Like, where'd you go? What happened? What's going on? So it's like my circle of people that knew just got a little bit bigger. And now it's like, okay, now work knows. And now work's going to start questioning things. And they might start to put together, like those murder mysteries where it's like at the end, you're like, oh my gosh, the lamp, like the stupidest thing. like, that's where I was like, they're going to figure it all out now. I'm
Right.
going to lose my job. And when that moment, it was just like, okay, I I felt like there was no way out. I
Yeah.
was trying to moderate. I was trying to just figure it out. I was trying to outsmart it for so long. And at that moment, now that my circle of people that knew was kept getting bigger, it just felt like completely hopeless. And that's when I was like, or what I could do is just stop drinking. Like,
Yeah.
logical, like everybody that's not an alcoholic or doesn't have a problem is like, just don't do it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Right.
But it was the fact that, like, in that moment, staring at the black bag of death, just feeling so completely hopeless, it was like I was mourning who I was, because I felt like there was no way out, and that my kids would probably be better off without having to watch the train wreck. Like, I'm weighing the cost benefit of, like, just not being in their life at all, or how much therapy they're going to need after being raised by an alcoholic.
Wow.
And the fact that I went more suicidal, because I thought, like, if I just shut the garage and leave the car running, I'm drunk, it probably could be ruled an accident, and, like, my kids wouldn't have to deal with this.
Wow.
And went inside, and the next morning, the fact that I was suicidal in that moment really scared me. It's not that I've never had, like, suicidal thoughts before, but I'm like, if I get drunk again, am I gonna do something I can't take back? And then it was just like a one day at a time, like, okay, I'm just not going to drink this weekend. Like, I went from trying to conquer the world when I was trying to get sober before, like wanting to, okay, I'm going to get sober. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to start meal planning. I'm going to do all these things. And I was like, I just can't drink today. Like, I just can't, like, I not do it today. And then I just kind of kept building off of that.
And before we go into the recovery journey, I do want to ask you something that you've brought up a couple times, because a lot of us feel this. Because during my story, when I was a kid, I was like all-American boy. I was, state champion of wrestling in Little League. We won state all 6 years in Little League football, won nationals 1 year. I was the home run derby hitter at the Little League World Series. And when drugs entered my life at 12 years old, all of that stuff kind of just went away. Even though I was able to have a successful high school athletic career, I don't still mourn it, but I still wonder, like, what would have happened if I never would have used drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So who was it that you were mourning? What kind of mom were you thinking that you wanted to be? What were you realizing that you were losing because of your drinking?
Mm-hmm. So I was also like the all-American, like volleyball, basketball, fast pitch, played all the sports. And I started drinking in high school, and I wonder, like, how much better of an athlete I could have been if I didn't start drinking. But I always saw myself as the mom I feel like I'm becoming now. So, like, just fun and, like, just a lot of energy and dancing around and teaching my kids things. I felt like I wasn't a teacher anymore. I was surviving every day. And just that drive, that, like, teaching my kids, like, work ethic, and teaching my kids to overcome obstacles, and just having a lot more fun. We weren't having as amount of fun that we have now. I was in survival mode. Like, I was just in survival mode.
Right. And so you made this decision to get recovery, and then you kind of just said, I can't drink today. Was that something that you did for a certain amount of time, or do you still do that today? Or how did you actually, like, get the sobriety and stay sober?
So to get the sobriety, I got sober in May. I started going to AA in January, because I was like, okay, this is the year. I'm turning 30 this year. I don't want to bring alcohol into my 30s. And I started going in January, but in January is when I was trying to do, like, that total reset. Like, I'm going to not drink. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to be clean and organized and, like, be perfect all of a sudden. And it doesn't work that way.
Right.
So I relapsed after, like, 2 weeks. And then I decided that trying to conquer it all was too much. And even to try and conquer sobriety was too much. So what I did was, I said I was going to make my bed every day. So one of the first commitments I made to myself, just to kind of build trust back in myself, was to make my bed every day. So February, March is when that became, like, a goal, because whenever I wasn't making my bed is because I was drunk and hungover and I wasn't getting out of it.
Yeah.
So it started really with that making my bed every day, and then kind of had a couple more relapses until that final day in May. But I was going in and out of AA during that January to May. And every time I would like disappear from AA for a little bit, they knew that it was because I had drank.
Yep.
And so May 2nd, I went to an AA meeting and I bawled like uncontrollably and told them like I was like gonna really quit this time. And then I went every single day for the first 30 days and then off and on until 60 days. And that was I don't still go to AA, but that community is what I needed in that time. And I like totally contribute them or like that's not the right word, but they're the reason I got sober or stayed sober in those first 30 days to be able to give me that jump start.
Awesome. Jennifer loves your hair. And and William says success in the small details. And when you said something about making your bed every day, that's something that I preach. And I use the word preach because that's what I do with it. Because in my first 30 days, I was living at a sober living house, and you had to, like, he would actually come check the beds, and it would have to be like military style, like taught you exactly how to make it. And what I found was that, and then I read like 3 years into my sobriety, that's one of the number one keystone habits that you can build, because it's first thing in the morning. It's one of the first things that you do. And if you trigger your mind to do something like that early in the morning, you're more prone to make good decisions throughout the day, to make good habits throughout the day. And then recently I've read some studies on people that make their bed every day. They're more likely to enjoy their job. They're like 25% more likely to say that they enjoy their work. They're 11% more happy. And, you know, there's all kinds of other things. And I love it. There's things that we can do in recovery, not just going to meetings, not just having that be the habit, not just doing that stuff, which, you know, I love my fellowships. I love every single one. I still, you know, go to sometimes, but I don't think that was the thing that was ever able to get me sober, because I was going to meetings for 7 years before I was actually able to find the message that got me sober. And I think that if we rely on specifically just going to meetings to stay sober forever, I feel like there's just not enough there. There's not enough there because it's people. And sometimes we might like meet someone or have something happen at a meeting that upsets us, and then we resent the whole meeting or the whole fellowship because one person said one thing. So tell us some things that you did, you know, outside of just going to the meetings that started to build this happiness, this joy, and this fun in recovery.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that. I think that sometimes, like the dry drunk that they talk about, like there's so many people like, well, I go to meetings, and it's like, yeah, but what habits are you? Habits is like my biggest thing. I'm actually like building a course on habits because I believe in them so much. And those habits that you can build and that self-care that you can do outside of the meetings, because the meetings will only take you so far. You kind of are capped. And that's kind of where I felt with at the 30 days. I was like, okay, I feel so much better, but I feel like I'm like still kind of white knuckling it. Like, what do I need to do now? And I still was making my bed every day. And then I really started getting into my workouts again. I think it's so important to move your body. And I know like you and I are like athletes. Like I'm competitive. I like to like lift and like challenge myself, but you don't have to be like an intense CrossFitter to exercise. Like walking 100%. Every day is gonna, like, there's so many health benefits mentally and physically for moving your body. So moving my body had to be incorporated into my life. Absolutely. And then
how did you start that? How did you start in early recovery? What was because obviously you probably progress with your health and with your habits and with your workouts as you get healthier and healthier. Where did you start? Like, what was the habit you started for health?
Oh, well, I started straight into obsession.
Okay.
Crazy, like, okay, this is what we're doing. And I was super, super fit. And I was like, I've mellowed out. I've learned a lot more balance in sobriety as I've gone, but it was like intense. Like I worked out almost every day. I felt really anxious if I wasn't working out. It became kind of an addiction a little bit at that time. Like I was just really focused on it.
Yeah.
But I did like a lot of hit workouts and lifting and whatever. But
For anyone
I
out there that doesn't know what hit is, what is hit?
hit high intensity interval training. So like jumping, like you do like 3 or 4 moves and you do them for certain time periods or certain reps, and then you'll just do them. It's high intensity and you're doing it kind of repetitively and like for speed.
Yeah.
So
So basically, like you're raising your heart level really, really high, and then so you're raising your heart level really, really high, and then there you are. And then you're bringing it back down, right? Like sprinting really, really fast and then walking really, really slow, and then sprinting
right.
really, really fast and walking really, really slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've found that if you do hit training, it actually will keep you in the state of ketosis, where basically you're constantly burning fat, you're constantly burning cholesterol and stuff for a full 24 to 36 hours after a 45-minute hit exercise. So it's like, it's super, super beneficial. And what I did in my first, like right when I started recovery to start into my health routine, and this is something everybody listening can do. And this is exactly what I did. When I woke up, the first thing I did was make my bed, and then I would do 20 jumping jacks, 20 crunches or sit-ups, and then I would do 10, 10, and 10 push-ups. So I would do 10 wide, 10 narrow, or 10 regular, and then 10 narrow. And that was all the exercise I did for like the first 30 or 45 days, because I knew that it was something that I wanted to build into my life, like a habit. But I was so focused on my recovery work that I wanted to make sure I was doing all of my time with recovery first. And I do see a lot of people coming in and saying things about, I love a good meeting, but meetings will only do so much. And that is exactly what we are saying. Guys, the fellowships and addicts and alcoholics in recovery are the reason I'm here today. 100% the reason I'm here today. I love meetings. I love my people, and I still go, you know, when I get a chance. I go to meetings where they're all speaking Spanish because I want to learn Spanish more and more, and those are my people. So they're saying things that I should understand, so I'm learning more and more in there, right? But what I learned, kind of like what Gentry is saying, is that we can learn so much in there. Once you get to a recovered state, once you have that spiritual awakening that you're no longer obsessing about drinking, you're no longer obsessing about using drugs, we shouldn't go to the meetings with a reliance for them to keep us sober, because that was never what they were intended for. If you read the original literature, it says we frequently met so that newcomers could find the fellowship that they seek. So if we go to the meetings, if we're in a recovered state, when we go to a meeting, we don't go there to get help for ourselves. We go there to look for a newcomer that needs help. That's the point of people that are recovered going to meetings, right? Yeah. And so let's say you start doing this hit workout. You start going crazy with the exercise routine.
A little bit crazy, and like you said though, like that, those kind of things you can do at home. And I didn't have a gym membership or anything, so like that, I love those. Like Google them, because they're just really quick and easy, and a lot of people can do a jumping jack, so you could do modified push-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely got a little bit intense on the workouts. But something else that I started doing is I've always wanted to write. I wanted to be a writer. I had this really creative personality. I'm like true lefty. I'm the youngest. Like I fit the mold. I said I was going to grow up and be an actress, and I grew up and I was an accountant. It was like, so I have my CPA license. I'm working as an accountant, and I'm sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day. And I was like, I need to like spark my soul. What really do I love doing? What is something that I'm passionate about? And I started writing. Like started a blog, and I started writing like funny stories about parenting. And at 90 days sober, I wrote a blog post about quitting drinking, and I said, I'm 90 days alcohol free. It was like so vanilla. It wasn't like I was considering suicide in my garage. It was like, I've just decided to take a step back from alcohol. But once I put it out there, it was like another layer of accountability. So I had like my inner circle kind of knew, and then work kind of was on to me, and then I quit drinking. And then once I said, hey, I've quit drinking, it was like, I've just shared with the world, or like 10 people who followed my blog at the time, like that I am not drinking.
Mm.
Then I shared that blog post to my Instagram and just started to like get a lot more feedback. And that's really where I found my community or my fellowship, was in the Instagram world.
Mm. I love that. And I was just writing that down because I was going to let you keep going and come back to it. But I just got chills while you said that, because you said something that I believe in a totally different way, right? What I found after writing my book and after starting to get on podcasts and speaking and things like that is that in the hard times in recovery, I always go back to, there's people, not I'm like worried if I drink or relapse what people are going to think of me, but there's people out there counting on me to stay sober, because I'm out here and I'm sharing my story and I'm helping people, and I'm trying to help more people by sharing my story in more ways, and it's become such a driving force in my own recovery. And I think about, like, everybody on here right now, I think about and pray about you, pray for you every single day. Every single day. Everybody that follows this page, I also pray for all the addicts out there that are suffering, everybody in recovery. And thinking about you guys and doing this constantly and being out there and loud and proud about it helps me in my recovery so much. And I found, like, you can see this way, Brittany's book right here. She literally talks about how, like, right before writing that book, she was having a really hard time in recovery. Didn't know what she was going to do, didn't know if it was going to continue, type of thing. And then when she started to share her story, when she wrote that book, and the DA that prosecuted her bought a whole bunch of her books and gives them to women that he's prosecuting that are in her situation, she
Mm-hmm.
said that it keeps her steadfast in her own recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And when other people that started sharing their stories that I was coaching started saying the same thing that I was experiencing, and now I've never coached you, I've never helped you get your story out, nothing like that, and you're getting it out and you're saying that you are having the same experience of that helping you stay steadfast in your own recovery. I
Mm-hmm.
just think that's amazing. And you said one other thing, that you wanted to, like, early on, you wanted to find things that you love. What lights that fire inside of you, And that's so important for addicts and alcoholics to find early on in recovery, and start focusing on having that foundation of recovery, whether it's 12 steps or what they learned in treatment or church or whatever it is. And then over here in life, have these things that you love that you're going after.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you start writing, you write that blog, you post it on Instagram, and then what's next?
And it just kind of kept organically growing and growing. And you said something in there and I was going to comment on it. Now I forgot what it was. Yeah, so I went back to kind of like my childhood roots of like what I wanted to be and what I liked doing. And I started with the writing, and then I just shared a little bit more, and then shared a little bit more, and shared a little bit darker about how it was, and a little bit more like the reality of the situation. And I just kept connecting with people on social media, and like it just kept growing. And I think like what you're saying with that service, I feel like a lot of that, it's like a service, like we now have the opportunity to help others, and they rely on us. But I think what's really important to step into that role is when you get to a point where you like rely and trust yourself. Because when somebody before would try to rely on me to do something, I would collapse. Like, oh God, that's so much pressure. They want me to be able to do that for them. Like, and so that's why I think like the making the bed, it's because you said you're going to make your bed and you get up and do it. And you now trust yourself that you will do that. And you're trusting yourself to stay sober, and you're trusting yourself so that when people do trust you, it doesn't crush you. So that's why that inner work is like so
good.
important.
That's so good. And what you just said there, that's something I feel like, you just got out for me, that I experienced in first off doing the steps. Because what I learned in my addiction was that I'm a quitter. I never finish anything. I'm no good. I'll never accomplish what I want to do because I'm never able to actually get there. And then when I finished the steps the first time, when I went through them and I worked hard and I finished them, that was like the first thing in my life that I did all the way through and finished it to completion and got the results, right? And now
Mhm.
I've done the steps almost 5 full times. I just did my fifth step like a month ago. And then when I wrote the book, right? When I sat down and I wrote the book, I had an intention to write it to inspire other addicts in recovery to share their stories. And I had this dream, this vision, and this why. And then I sat down and I actually did it to completion. And finishing those two things, it started a totally new identity within myself. Not
Mhm.
about, not about I have my identity with God, I have my identity with Christ, but then I have this other identity that is totally susceptible to either my willingness to go through with things or
Mhm.
not, right?
Mhm.
Like you're saying, trusting yourself to be able to set a goal and go after it.
Mhm.
So what are some other things that you've done in your recovery with trusting yourself and setting your goals?
But oh,
I love it.
so I think that because like okay, if I can overcome addiction and I can trust myself to stay sober, I can trust myself to quit my accounting job. I think that was a pretty big one. I think just having like faith in the universe and faith in my ability is has that it just gives you so much more confidence. And that's what I'm saying, like that the confidence that you can gain in sobriety is it comes from that like what you're saying, trusting yourself, finishing something. And I have a client right now that's like terrified of relapsing because of that. Like she hasn't completed things. So we're doing like baby things for her to complete, not even related to sobriety, so
Mm,
that she can build like completing. She has big goals, she has things she wants to do, but you got to be able to like build that up, because it took 3 years before I quit my accounting job of trusting myself as a mom.
mm.
My kids didn't trust me. Like I ran back into the house almost a year sober, and my son, who was 6 I think at the time, he was like, you're just running back inside to finish your beer, and I hadn't had a beer
Ooh,
for a year. And so it's like but I at that time had already started trusting myself, like okay, if I keep going and I keep doing the right things, he will no longer have that like trigger. And,
yes.
um so like taking like letting myself build up trust with them, trusting myself as a mom that I will be able to build back that trust, showing up to things on time, not being flaky, all the things that you would do in addiction, that you just start like kind of like, okay, I'm going to be better about this today, or I'm going to kind of focus on this. I've noticed I've been late a lot. I'm going to try and be better with like be more timely. I'm Yeah, just little things, the house cleaning, the kids schedules. It kept just building and building. And then when I'm sharing online and sharing about my stuff, just being consistent, showing up for the Instagram community too. Like, okay, I'm going to be consistent about sharing my stories or responding to people, and trying to keep spreading that like message of hope and humor in sobriety.
Awesome. I love it. And guys, we're going to go into exactly how she's spreading that message and the messages she gets and receives and then replies. We're also going to talk about how you out there can start doing the same thing. We're going to take a 30-second break and we will be right back. Hey, you. Did you know that I wrote a book? It's called From Chains to Saved, One Man's Journey Through the Spiritual Realm of Addiction. It's a collection of 21 short stories of spiritual experiences I went through before, during, and after addiction. In my recovery since I published it in 2019, I've been able to share it with thousands of people around the world, and it became a #1 bestseller. And now, I'm able to give it away for free to everyone that follows this page. Go to FromChainsToSave.com after the show to pick up your free digital and audio copy. Enjoy the show, and I'll see you after. Love you. All right. And I love that I'm able to do that now. I love that I'm able to give that stuff away for free, because you were just talking about, getting messages from people and the responses to them and making it a habit to respond to them and stuff. And after I published my book and the amount of messages and emails, and then when I made this video about my testimony and it went viral, and all of these people messaging and emailing, and I responded to every single one of them. And the reason why I do is like I've been in their shoes. I've been in a place in addiction where I felt like I was alone. I felt like no one would possibly ever talk to me. and I'm watching this video of somebody that just like really, really touched me, and I message them, and then they message me back, and I remember that feeling that I get that someone actually cares,
Mhm.
and that's a habit that I built, and I didn't realize at the time as I was doing it that it's in the top 3 most fulfilling things in my life.
Mhm.
Responding and talking to people that are out there suffering, that find one of my messages and just reach out for help, right? So
Mhm.
Gentry, what has that experience been for you? What kind of messages were you getting while you were growing your Instagram and your social media, and how were you kind of responding to them?
Um, I just got a lot of people relating to what I was saying. So just the like, thank you for sharing them. You're giving me hope. The like, I'm a single mom too, or I'm a mom and I get overwhelmed, and so I totally see what you're saying about like the mom guilt or whatever thing I was
Mm,
talking about. Um, yeah, and those are so rewarding to see those like genuine, authentic messages come through, like just reaching out saying like, thank you for your message, or I'm trying to get sober and like you're inspiring me, or whatever it is. It's like those are they are like such a rewarding thing and push you to keep going and doing what you're doing.
absolutely. And then having these messages coming in and from people and being able to help them, did this blossom into anything else that you're doing right now?
That inspired me to quit my job. So that's and I'm an accountant, so I'm not like I'm not, I wasn't an addict quitting their job. I wasn't that mentality. I like made set it up and was like, okay, I think I'm ready to take this next step. And when I talked about when I first got sober and wanting to really reignite that, like things that make me passionate, or like they like set my soul on fire, I always have been a talker. I've always been the class clown. I always was the one not afraid to get on stage, and for a long time I felt a lot of like shame about that, or like I'm starved for attention, or like I need to just shut up, or like just like the things that people say about people that don't mind attention.
Right.
And I was like, but this is who I am. And this is a quality that I have that not everybody has. Like, instead of it being like, I'm starved for attention, it's a gift that I am comfortable with attention. So I should use it to help others. And so as I continued to do that on social media, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to lean into being able to do podcasts like this, and being able to do or live streams, and being able to do content creation and be creative and all this stuff. And I quit and I got my life coach and recovery coaching certificate. Actually, I was
Amen.
doing that before I quit my job. I had that, but started coaching people one-on-one. I'm building a course right now so that if you can't work with me one-on-one, you can buy a course that's going to give you all the step-by-step habit building stuff that I go through. I am writing a chapter in a book, and that's going to be released January of 2023. So super excited about that. But I get to do all of the things that were things that I loved as a kid, and being that creative,
Mm,
that creative outlet. And yeah.
I love it. I love it. And people are hopping in saying, proud of you both. Thank you. Congratulations. We love you guys. And here's the thing. I I have that personality too. I got in a lot of trouble in school. Like I was constantly like, talked to, and like if
Yeah.
everybody acted like you, we'd have anarchy and stuff like that. But I felt like, I was adding to the class. I was making
Mhm.
class fun. You know, when we're sitting there and we're learning and stuff, and I'm like, and then I make a joke. I remember one time I was in AP French class, and there's a there's a word. I don't even remember what the word means in French, but she came in and the teacher was like, okay, we have a pop quiz. And I was like, chete, which is a French word, but it also like, and she took me out in the hall, and like, yeah, it was funny though. And everybody laughed. So they don't like that. But just because we have that personality and we have fun getting out there, we have fun talking to people, and, making people laugh and getting on podcasts and things like that. That's great for this. And also, I've noticed that you don't have to have this personality to do it. I know a lot of people that are sharing their stories in different ways that
Mm-hmm.
that don't like the attention, that
Right.
don't like to have it on them. And when I first started Recovered on Purpose, my mission and my goal, and I was actually talking to my mentors about it, and my mentors were doing really, really big things. Like they were working with Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins and things like that. And what I told them was that, hey guys, I don't want to like build this Recovered on Purpose brand by only sharing my story. I want to stay off of the stages, and I just want to lift other people up and get them on the stages. And what they told me was that that will never work. You have to build the brand with your story and prove concept, prove what it is, prove what you're doing, and then start bringing people to follow what you've done. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started getting on stages. They actually had me, both of them had me on their stages. I was able to speak to like 12, 1,500 people at a time. And what that did for me was it added a purpose to what I was doing beyond just getting my story out, beyond like
Mm-hmm.
I've never done this just to get the attention.
Right.
I'm willing to do it to move the cause forward. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's something that anybody, whether you have the class clown personality or not, if you get that why, that strong why within you about why it is that you share your story, and you decide how you're going to share it, because anybody can write a book. You don't have to be the class clown. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
be the person that's out there doing podcasts and speaking and moving around in some random studio in Medellin, Colombia. You don't have to do all that stuff.
Right.
So everybody out there that has a recovery story, there is a way that you can share it to help people with your
Mm-hmm.
personality, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
I say that about parenting, and it's true about anything, because I see a lot of moms that like get lost in motherhood, right? And I think it's the same thing can relate to recovery. Is you have to parent from your personality,
mm,
and you have to recover from your personality.
ooh,
I
that's
am
so good.
a mom that would dance on tables. There's moms that would say, never put your feet on my freaking coffee table or you're grounded. Like, we dance on the furniture. Like, but that's my personality. I parent from my personality, and that's what my kids need. And that's what the world needs from you, is your personality, not perfection.
Yes, amen. And you just dropped a bomb. You just dropped a bomb. You have to recover within your personality.
Mm-hmm.
That's a truth bomb right there. I love that. And what I've recognized is that, when we're chasing after things that we love, we're chasing after things that we're passionate about, what lights us on fire, that's different for everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing. I had a couple of sponsees back in Colorado a couple years ago. They got sober right at the same time. And what I'm always doing is trying to find what they love, what they're passionate about, and having them serve through that. One
Mm-hmm.
of them happened to be in the LGBTQI plus community. What he did around, like, I think he was about 6 months sober at the time. And when we started working together, he came to me crying. He was living on the streets, was IV drug addict. And then 6 months later, he started the one and only LGBTQI plus meeting in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Then he started working at a treatment center, and he starts working towards these things about helping that community. And then my other sponsee, he is an avid rock climber. He just loves rock climbing. He's always doing it every weekend. He's going here, here, here.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did was he started the one and only rock climbing meeting
Mm-hmm.
at this what is it called? A company that has rock climbing inside, an indoor rock climbing gym.
Oh, yeah.
And what they do, and I told him how to bring it to them, like showed him like how you can actually start this. You are 100% allowed to start it. It's an autonomous group. And what
Mm-hmm.
they do is they go and they have the meeting for an hour, and then they go climb for an hour. So this is like a community within a community that are
Mm-hmm.
going after things that they're passionate about, things that they love in their recovery while working on their recovery together.
Mm-hmm.
So working within your personality, boom, in your recovery. So
Mm-hmm.
what else have you noticed from, tell us about some of your clients and some of the people that you've been coaching, and how that's been for them and you.
Oh, that's a difficult question. Is there something that, like, specific?
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, when you're coaching someone, um, what I've noticed is when I'm coaching someone, I'm going through this right now with multiple people. They come into my program, and I have specific results of the program. The specific results of the program, is you will have your message, exactly what you want to share, down perfect. You will have all the experiences out of your head and into paper, into a map that will show exactly what story you're going to share. You'll have a video that has your message exactly how you want to share it, and it'll be shared on platforms and things like that. But then when they get into the program and we start working together, we start doing coaching calls, each personality, each situation is totally different, and they're each dealing with so many different things that we're getting different results outside of the results of the program by working together and a specific conversation about their own personal development.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed that in your coaching programs?
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that, yeah, that definitely is the same situation, because not everyone that comes to me is just recovery. A lot of them is just that confidence building, and they might not be drinking, but they're watching TV for like they don't realize they're doing these other numbing out or checking out type things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think a lot of it depends on the personality and what their goal is. And some are looking for a goal. They're trying to reach a certain goal of like sobriety and kind of finding confidence in sobriety. And so we go through kind of the healthy habits and stuff. And some are just trying to build confidence without sobriety. So it's like, it's a mix and match of, a lot of it is the overcoming obstacles and the goal setting, like to overcome those obstacles, and then just confidence, just really looking for confidence and that joy again in life.
Yeah. And did you ever have, and just a quick question, did you ever have a break in your confidence where you weren't really confident?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And let's say someone out there, because this is something that comes up with basically every single client, every single person that, wants to work with me or is in recovery, thinking about sharing their story. They're like, how do I build my confidence in sharing it? What are, let's say, three things someone out there that wants to build their confidence can do and start today? What would you say?
3 things to help build your confidence is do things that make you uncomfortable, within your personality. But do things that do something that makes you uncomfortable. Talking to people, I feel like, is always something, because COVID happened. We're on the internet all the time. We aren't as good at talking to people face to face. I find that if you are talking to the clerk when you check out, if you're talking to somebody that's in the grocery aisle, like taking time to actually connect with somebody in real life and having confidence to say hi or something, just with strangers, I think that always builds confidence, having that connection in real life. The committing to small tasks like making your bed, and then adding something on top of that, because that builds trust in yourself. And when you have trust in yourself, you have confidence in yourself. And I feel like a lot of my confidence, and I think a lot of people's confidence, comes from faith. So if you have, whether you believe in God, whether you believe in the universe, whatever it is, but if you have faith in the universe, faith in a higher power, faith that whatever you do and that higher power, that universe, is giving you the ability to like keep going, and then whatever happens, like just the faith in the journey, definitely that faith is a huge confidence builder.
Amen. I love that. And I think that one of the things that you said that I tell everybody to do is talking to people. And I've always had this, like, especially on drugs, I had this like confidence. I didn't care what anybody thought. I will go up and talk to anybody, and I was even more comfortable talking to the really high level people that are really far above me, because I just wanted to talk to them so bad that I was willing to reach out to them. Right. In my recovery, it has actually taken me longer to get that confidence back of talking to somebody in person, one-on-one. And the way that I broke that was by just walking up and starting a conversation, because I've knocked over 100,000 doors doing door-to-door sales. And I was addicted basically the whole time. I don't even think I knocked any doors in my sobriety. But if I had this habit of always being high when I'm having these conversations, that's not actually who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So what I started doing was like walking up to people and just saying, "Hi, how you doing?" You know, if it's in a meeting or if it's in a recovery atmosphere, I'll walk up and, just ask, "Hey, how long you been here? How long you been a part of this?" And just starting that question and then flowing with it, flowing with a conversation, that builds confidence in being able to talk to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what's another habit that you could stack on to the making of the bed? Because I know a lot of people on here that are listening to this already make their bed because everybody that watches this show is super into personal development. So what are some other habits to stack on there?
Um, what are the other habits? Because I work out, but I try to, but eye contact is important. That's so
Yeah.
funny that because I do that too. I'll look away. I even do it when I'm in interviews. I'll look up or look away. Um, but habits, making eye contact. That's a good habit to have. Um, habit working out is definitely something. Moving my body, and having balance with that. So I try to do 3 to 4 at least a week. I mean, I'm a busy mom, but another, oh sorry, this is a really good one, is a calendar. Putting
Mm,
everything in your calendar. Something that I started doing whenever I start saying, like, I don't have time for that, I don't have time for this, I started tracking my time. So I would have my calendar. I'd have like, okay, we have this meeting at 8. And then I would say what I kind of like block out what I did for the rest of the day, because we like to say we don't have time for stuff. And that's not true. There's a lot of dead
watching
space.
3 hours of Storage Wars a night.
Yeah. So, and it just helps you kind of keep in your zone of what you're doing, what your goals are, where you're at. Like, okay, I should train, or I should do some like course training or practice, or writing or whatever I'm doing. But tracking my time was a really good habit to figure out what I'm spending my time on, what I don't need to be spending my time on, and what I want to be spending my time on.
I love that. I love that. And one thing that I do that has really helped with my confidence and with my scheduling and stuff. Actually, I'm going to give you two. One thing is my list of 6 that I do at night. So right before bed, I write down 6 things that I'm going to do right when I wake up. The first one is always what time I'm going to wake up, because if we have a specific time scheduled that we're going to wake up, and when our alarm goes off, we actually get up at that time, that instantly adds confidence. That instantly says that we do what we say we're going to do. You're not in control. We tell our mind, you're not in control. You are a tool of ours, right? So I
Mhm.
do this list of 6, write everything down, and then I follow that list. And then another one is, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I was going to say. I forgot what I was going to
I,
say.
I like that list of 6. I do try to do gratitude practice. I was writing it down, but now I just kind of set a timer on my phone. This is another
Mm,
habit that I do. I have 3 timers that go off during the day. And when they go off, I just take a minute to find what I'm grateful for in that moment, kind of
I
bring me
love that.
back present. Um, and if my boys are in the room, we all say what we're grateful for. Like, it's so
Amen.
that is another habit that I have. Sorry, I should have wrote down these habits.
I love it. Well, that's the great thing about doing these live and just like kind of going off the cuff. And that's why I ask, like, questions that aren't planned, because we can actually go through them, right? And I
Mhm.
remembered what I was going to say. It just had nothing to do with confidence. So I was bringing in confidence. And then another thing with a calendar, something that I've started doing is making sure that everything is in my calendar.
Mhm.
Everything that I'm doing is in my Google Calendar. And then I
Mhm.
use Calendly, because you've actually gotten on the Calendly. And
Mhm.
the cool thing about the Calendly and then having your Google Calendar attached to it is that if you put something in your phone that you're doing at a certain time, it takes that availability off of your Calendly. So if
Yeah.
you're going to have a meeting with someone, or you're going to do a coaching call with someone, and you send them your calendar link, it'll block out any times you're not available and leave other times in that you are available.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I've started using that
Mhm.
within the last like month, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. The Google Calendar, you can have like your calendars, or like your appointments scheduled in there too. So I don't have do you use Calendly?
Mhm.
But yeah, a really good habit is to write down everything, especially as a single mom with ADHD. It's important for I've never fully diagnosed ADHD, my like own self-diagnosis, but it's just like really, really important for me to be able to like see the week, and I color coordinate everything. Anything to do with my boys is blue. Anything to do with certain work is a different color. Self-care time is like bright yellow because that's exciting.
Yeah.
But I color coordinating it is really helpful too, so I can see like a snapshot of my week and
Yeah.
what I have done.
Yeah, and guys, the scheduling and the calendar and stuff it's the same as a personality, right? Like you start like right when you say yellow because it's fun, that's a personality coming out of a calendar. And the practice of keeping a calendar, like even if you sit down for 5 minutes at the beginning of your day and you write out what you're going to do that day, what you need to get done that day, and what time you're going to do it, your goals and your dreams will be able to be tracked, and you have an 80% more likelihood of actually attaining what you're going after. And there was also something we brought it up a little bit earlier, and I was deciding if I wanted to go into it or not. But she says, I'm so shy, but eye contact is important. And this was something that I struggled with in my addiction so bad, because I have these really these eyes that are intense, right? When I'm looking at somebody. But if I'm high, I know in my mind that when I'm looking at somebody, they know. They know because either my pupils are really huge or one eye's going this way and one eye's going that way. And it's embarrassing for me. And I'm not able to make that eye contact because I'm high. And eyes are the gateway to the soul. That's literally the best way to connect with somebody that you're talking to, is like looking them in the eyes, like understanding, listening for what they're saying, feeling what they're saying, and then letting them into what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what you're saying. And within it takes maybe 2 or 3 days away from drugs and alcohol and stuff for your eyes to clear up and your soul to come back. You might still be withdrawing and things like that, but starting to have those conversations and going to meetings, in early recovery, go to meetings every single day and going there and walking up to people in there and, just saying, hey, I was told to come to meetings. I'm on day 3 or whatever, and I'm just wondering what I should do from here. And the thing is that there is no rejection in a statement like that. There's nothing that person can do to reject you. Because we were talking about it earlier in the comments, that we're afraid to go up to somebody and start a conversation in fear of rejection. But what could somebody possibly reject? If you're going to somebody with an intention to maybe sell them something, if you're trying to get them to do something for you, then there can be rejection there. But if you just genuinely go up to somebody and say, hey, this is where I'm at and I need some help, I was just wondering if you have any advice for me, you're actually serving them. What a lot of people in early recovery don't think about is that you asking for help or you asking for guidance or a sponsor or something like that, you are actually serving that person more than they're going to serve you. Because in order to keep our recovery, like we were talking about earlier, we have to have these conversations. We have to keep, sharing our stories and helping the one that's out there, or else we don't get to have the happy, joyous, and free life in recovery either. Yeah. Have you noticed that having converse? Do you coach a lot of people that are in early recovery trying to get sober?
I no, I feel like I have more people that have a little bit of time under their belt and they're just kind of stuck or lost.
Yeah.
But I love that you say you are doing them a service by asking for help. So many people realize that everybody thinks that they're a burden. But it's do you realize how much people love that is so many people's purpose is they feel so good being able to help somebody else. So you feeling their purpose when you ask them for help. You're not a burden. And it's it's a give and take. The happiest lives are where you can give and you can receive. If you can be able to do both of those, you can fulfill somebody else's purpose and you could fulfill yours by helping them. That is happiness.
Let's go. I love it. And that's something that, a lot of people, I was able to get that into my head way before I was able to get sober. I knew that asking for help and all that was helping them, and I was able to get that. And I was also knocking doors and high, so I was never afraid to go up and ask somebody to sponsor me. I was sponsored by a celebrity for a little while, and obviously not allowed to say who he was, but I called him one time with a crack pipe in my mouth. I was like, I can't get the crack pipe out of my mouth. What do I do? And yeah, it's funny now, but at the time I was sick. And there was like, but the thing was, is at the time I wasn't like, I don't know if I was ready, if I was just like trying to pass everything off on that person and saying, oh, not even you can help me, not even Mr.
Mhm.
King AA or Mr. King NA can help me, you know. But
Mm.
if people got that, if you're in early recovery and you really get the truth of the matter into your heart and into your head, that you asking for help is helping that other person. There's this thing in recovery where we are like in an ecosphere that is constantly reliant on each other. 100%. Everybody that has 15, 20, 30, 40 years is relying on these people to come to them, is relying on these people to teach to. And I wrote this article a while back. I called it the 33% law of knowledge, right? So there's always three kinds of people that you want in your life. There, and you spend 33% of your time with each section. 33% of your time, you are learning from somebody. That's it. They are teaching you, they're your mentor, they're your sponsor, they're a book, you know, that kind of stuff. That is where you're learning from.
Mhm.
Then 33% is interpret. That's your friends, your peers, the people that are working on themselves, that are like right around the same level, you know, and you're just like working on things together and stuff. And you're able to interpret what you guys are learning because they're learning something over here, you're learning something over here. And then when you talk about it together, you learn together. And then
Mhm.
33% of the time, you have to be teaching or helping or spreading the knowledge that you're learning to help other people. And what that does is it just keeps this circle going and flowing. And everything that you learn, as long as you interpret it and you teach it, it solidifies. It solidifies as belief. You can turn everything into a core belief and you remember it. And if you don't teach these things and you don't like get them out in a way that you're going to teach them, you won't allow more space in your head to learn. So you
Mhm.
have to keep this flowing. And it's the
Mhm.
same thing with recovery. We're all reliant on each other. The point of being here is to bring this person to here and then to help this person bring this person to here and then here. And we're
Mhm.
just constantly doing that. And without the people asking us to help them, we
Mhm.
don't get to keep going.
Mhm.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. I love that so much, and I feel like that's totally like the like being able to receive, being able to give, and yeah, like that. I love that. I love that.
Amen. So what are you up to now? I know that you're writing a chapter in a book, right? And we talked
Mhm.
a little bit about this. What is up with that book? Because it sounds really, really exciting.
Yeah, so it is called Deserts to Mountaintops. It is being published by Jess Buchanan. So Jess Buchanan was kidnapped in Somalia a long time ago, and she wrote a book and she has public speaking about it. And because she was rescued by Navy SEALs, and it was a big national thing that she is writing her own book, Deserts to Mountaintops. And then she asked me and a group of other strong, independent women to overcome, or to write about their obstacles and their what they've overcome. So it's a woman's wrote book, and it's going to be every one of us gets one chapter to tell our story, and all of them are overcoming obstacles, talking about our desert and how we got to our mountaintop. So mine's about recovery. There's a woman that's talking about coming out and telling the world that she was gay. There's a woman that's talking about overcoming abuse. And it's just going to be, I'm really excited. And then it's going to be out January of 2023. So it should be a very, very inspiring book with a lot of really powerful stories.
Amen. And you're going to come back on when it publishes, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember the day that my book launched, right? I was so excited, right? And it was cool to have it out and stuff, and people were reading it and the digital copy and stuff like that. And then like 2 weeks later, when my first hard copy got in the mail, and I got it in the mail and I was holding it in my hand, and it was just like this, you know, this totally new me, this
Mhm.
totally new person that finished something that he set out to do. Right. And it sounds like you're doing a whole bunch of stuff in your recovery that you're setting out to do. You're accomplishing the goals. You're going after the dreams. You're trusting yourself. You're relying on yourself, as well as you're being able to be there for other people. And I think that's what recovery is all about. I love it. I appreciate that you've been here for the show. And do you have anything that you want to drop on everybody before we go? Is there anything you want? How can they get a hold of you? How should they get a hold of you?
So you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Life with Gentry. And then the best way, if you wanted to share your story or share or like communicate with me, is to email me at lifewithgentry@gmail.com. My Instagram request box can get a little full. So email is the best way if you'd like to share anything with me. And then I have I have a course. Sorry, that was like, wait, there's something else I was going to tell you. Oh, I have a course coming out this fall about habit building. Because some of the stuff that we talked about today, I'm working on building a course that you can go through on your own pace, just talking about how to build up those habits. And that's really exciting. So I will, if you email me that you'd be interested in maybe doing that course, I can add you to a wait list, and then you can get emailed when it comes out.
Awesome. They email you right here. And hey, maybe we should talk about like a collaboration at some point, because my course would work really, really well with habit building. I have like one video where I teach about, the list of 6 and doing, creating this and creating that for your habits, but it's not like, it doesn't go in deep to what habits to build, what they do and stuff. So maybe we can do a package together for people in recovery.
Yeah, let's talk.
Would anybody be interested in that?
Yeah.
Cool. Gentry,
research.
right. Gentry, we appreciate you ever so much. I am. Amen, Jennifer. Amen. Raining support. And that's what I've been watching this in here. Like some of the comments that are happening, I didn't bring all of them up, but what I love about this community on this Recovered on Purpose page is that everybody that comments on posts or in videos or anybody that's in this community, when someone hops in and says that they are in early recovery, every single person on that post or every single person in that video is like, go get it, Jennifer, I'm here for you if you ever need to message me and this kind of stuff, because that's what it's about. And we appreciate you being here. We love you so much, and thank you so much for coming, guys. Make sure to keep living Recovered on Purpose.